A big happy Mardi Gras, and thank you for joining us tonight at Inside Yes, where we take a look inside the Yes campaign and meet some of the heroes of the campaign. Can I start by acknowledging the traditional owners of our land, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and pay our respects to the elders past and present. And can we also give a big round of applause for Twitter for hosting us here tonight for this wonderful Mardi Gras celebration. Twitter was an amazing partner to us during the campaign, kept the conversation going on social media throughout it, and hosted us here a number of times. So we're really grateful to Cara and the team and Chloe for putting tonight on.
Okay, tonight we're going to run through a few different segments, so 9 segments with a number of people from the campaign that you'll be hearing from. There's a lot of content, so we're going to run this a bit like speed dating. Well, think of your contributions as tweets, short and sharp and to the point. And so we'll literally be moving groups on and off the stage pretty quickly, but it's a really great chance for everyone to share some insights about the campaign's ups and downs and learnings and, you know, maybe a few funny anecdotes as well, not to put the pressure on. But we're going to kick off now, and Alex is going to start with the first group.
Great. And I think it's important to remember that this was a campaign which saw some 15,000 people participate in getting yes across the line. So we'll be meeting some amazing people, but there are so many more people who played an amazing role in the campaign. We're going to start with some of the early campaigners here. We have Pete Black from Queensland, Malcolm McPherson from the Blue Mountains, but he's been around AME for over a decade. And we have Shirlene Robinson and Sarah Midgley. Shirlene and Sarah are also one of the married couples in the campaign. And so, I guess the first question, just to give stuff a bit of a context about your involvement and why you all got involved in the campaign in the first place. Maybe start with you, Pete. And Anna, if you give Pete your microphone.
Thanks very much. It was really interesting for me because I got involved in the campaign not because I particularly wanted to get married. I didn't have sort of a long-term partner at the time, and that was never really something on my agenda. So it wasn't sort of a personal drive, which made it, I think, a little bit different from some of the other long-term people that were involved. But for me, I've been involved in sort of LGBT advocacy in Queensland around a number of different sort of causes, and it just seemed like a logical extension of what I was already doing. And then I started to meet some of the people, and it was just an exciting, extraordinary, talented group of people, and so I wanted to be involved.
Awesome. And Malcolm, you've been around the campaign for a very long time. What was it like back in the early years, 2004, 2005?
Okay, it was a real struggle in those days. I lived in John Howard's electorate of Bennelong, and I could see what John Howard was doing with the issue. And so he had successfully reached the ALP. And support in those days was only 38%. So the ALP really didn't want to know about it. The main, again, lesbian organisations in Sydney, the lobby, New Mardi Gras as it was then, and ACON didn't really want to know about it. And it was a struggle to build support. But it was surprising how quickly that turned around. I think the lobby in 2006 at Fair Day held a survey, and something like 90% of respondents who responded at Fair Day said they may not want to get married, but they certainly wanted marriage equality.
Excellent. And Shirlene, you are also a historian. So how has the marriage equality campaign changed or evolved over the years?
It's a really interesting question, and I think, I guess as a historian, some of the things that I've been interested in have been around things of social inequality, but the first thing that I ever did in terms of marriage equality was actually to write a fairly grumpy letter to my local MP in Queensland, which he actually responded very graciously to and then took the time to meet me. And I guess that kind of gave me a bit of hope that democratic change might be possible, although I wouldn't have imagined that perhaps it would have taken quite so long. You know, I then moved to Sydney in, I think, 2011, and in 2012 became more involved with Australian marriage equality. Certainly seen some remarkable changes and shifts over time, and I think one of the best things that really emphasises has been, from start to finish, it has given me the opportunity to meet so many amazing people that I would never have met otherwise, who we really have formed something incredible together, and I definitely feel as though this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to advance a cause of social justice, and I'm extremely proud to have had a minor role in that with so many other people in the room who we'll hear from as well.
And Sarah, why did you get involved, and what was it like being one of the married couples in the campaign? Was that easy?
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. It was fun. Yeah, so I suppose inspired by Shirley's letter, her gratitude letter, I just, similar to Peter, I think I just saw this as an opportunity to advance the rights of LGBTI people in a roadblock to not improving the lives of our lives in many different ways. So I actually attended an Australian marriage equality workshop, a sort of training workshop on advocacy and how you can speak to your MP, and really met with such amazing local people. This was when we were still in Brisbane, and it just really got me involved in the campaign and inspired. So when we moved to Sydney, we got really invested in making sure we stuck it out. And I think, definitely, to Alex's question, having each other to lean on during the campaign was I suppose, an immense privilege, and also, it just made it, when it got tricky, when you sometimes losing spirits, when the election cycle wasn't really in your favour, things like that, to have each other bounce ideas off and to be part of such a team was, really inspiring.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Can we give a big round of applause to the team for the early years? And I should also mention for everyone who's been interviewed that we are also going live on Twitter. The event is going to be on the AME @AM Equality Twitter handle, and the hashtag for tonight is #InsideYes. And so now we have the corporate and merchandise team. We have Janine Middleton, Elaine Tchaikovsky, and Shane Lloyd. We'll start with you, Shane. People love the merchandise that you produce. What was the most popular item, and what was the furthest place which you sent something?
Okay, because I kind of knew what you were going to ask me, I pulled out some statistics. So I have here the number of items sold. So our transactions, we had 12,500 transactions over the whole period that the merchandise was running. We sold 52,000 individual items, which was amazing. So products were sent everywhere in Australia, every state, every territory, something was sent there. Internationally, we had stuff going to the UK, USA, New Zealand, Canada, lots of places around Asia. The most unusual place that I sent something to, which when the order came through I was surprised, was Russia. So, needless to say, when I was putting this parcel together, I made sure that I made it as vague as possible. I said this was from AME and it just contained a t-shirt. Just to hope that it got there. I never heard anything more, so hopefully it got there. When it comes to the products that we sold, the most popular product, we sold 25,000 of them with badges. The next most popular were t-shirts. We sold over 10,000 t-shirts. And when you go now to LGBT events and you see these t-shirts just everywhere. When we had the announcement of the result on the 15th of November, just to stand on the stage and see a sea of people wearing that t-shirt, it was just amazing. The other one was pins. The lapel pin, for corporate people to have a pin on their lapel just to show their support, I couldn't keep up. They took a while to produce and we sold out, and I'd have to get more, and we'd sell that again, and have to get more. So that was really popular.
Awesome. And Elaine, corporate Australia loved the product, especially the LGBTI corporate networks. Do you want to take us through your work with corporate Australia, and particularly the LGBTI networks?
Yeah, we realised there was a sort of untapped market out there to activate. So So LGBTI corporate networks do have a remit to fundraise, activate volunteers, and raise awareness of LGBTI issues within their workplace. So I got a group of about 50 representatives together, realising, and I've been in the corporate world myself, realising that these are very busy people, and whatever they do for the LGBTI network is in magic time. So the key was to be very clear about what we needed from them and give them actions that were very distinct actions, so they could go to their leadership teams to get approval. And the response we had from through the corporate networks was just incredible. They activated their call centres to help with the phone bank. So we had, Patty later on will probably talk about this, the number of calls that were made. The fundraising, it was close to, it was nearly 400,000 in about 6 months, which wouldn't have happened. And also the awareness within each firm, the things they went, very creative, from rainbow cups to, oh gosh, I can't even think now. But we did pop-up shops in a lot of the corporates, Postal in Qantas, in Boston Consulting Group, and the pop-up shops were just so fantastic to give everyone an opportunity to buy merchandise and raise the issue.
Janine, Corporate Australia played a real leading role in the campaign for marriage equality. Why was it so important to Corporate Australia, and were you surprised?
I was surprised how large it became in Corporate Australia, but I think it was pretty clear. We had our first sort of interaction with Corporate Australia back in 2015, May, and at that time there had been absolutely no leadership in this country. Coming from Canberra, I mean, Howard, it was never going to happen. Rudd did absolutely nothing for us, and Abbott, as we all know, the story there. And so what we saw from the CEOs was, starting with, we had a breakfast at Gilbert and Tobin in May 2015, and it was Alan Joyce and Sherry Mike, and we really didn't know how many people were going to show up. They were asking us, well, how many should we cater for? We're going, 20? We don't really know. 200 people showed up. And 2 weeks later, we put an ad in the Australian that had 55 corporate logos. 2 weeks later, we put in another ad with 153 logos. And at the bottom, we put, we're going to need a bigger ad. And after that, we couldn't actually afford to pay for the advertising to put all the logos in, and we ended up with 2,700 corporates. And I think it was just the corporates they didn't give us any money, I will add quickly, but the corporates, the CEOs, C-suite just had their finger on the pulse of what Australia wanted, and Canberra were clearly completely clueless about where Australia was. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting on that wonderful day, the 15th of November, was those in Canberra were saying, well, we haven't heard from the silent masses, and that day we heard from the silent masses, and they said yes.
And just finishing up, Shane, the shop on Oxford Street, for people who didn't get to visit that, what was that environment like?
I think I had the easiest job in the campaign, because a lot of people were going through some bad things with things people were saying. There's a lot of negativity coming in towards a lot of people. In the shop, it was always positive. There was a whole group of, everybody was a volunteer. Nobody was paid to be there. They're all volunteers. And we had some really dedicated people who were there the whole time. And it was just a positive place to be. We had a whole wall of messages, so people could come in and write a message about why they support marriage equality. We ended up smothering a whole wall of these messages. And then people would come in, just wandering past down the street, they'd come in, walk in, and just stand there and reading these messages. Some people were in tears reading how personal these messages were. But in general, it was a really positive place. We didn't have any negativity. A couple of people may have come in to try and say why they voted no. We have to say, well, that's up to you, that's your choice. But we're not here to discuss that. We're here to support the Yes campaign. So
it was always a very positive vibe, and that was the feedback from the volunteers too. They just absolutely loved being there.
Awesome. Let's give a big thank you to the corporate and merchandise team. And now we welcome the comms team. So we have Clint McGilvray, Angie Green, Georgia T, and Mike Fairbairn joining us. And of course the comms team, there are other people from the comms team that are here tonight, including Lindy and Steve, but we only have 4 chairs. So we will start with you, Clint. So, you're a country boy. Rural and regional Australia overwhelmingly said yes. Take us through the stuff that the campaign did in rural and regional Australia, and particularly rural and regional Australia media.
It was interesting, it was a very interesting time because we were in between the plebiscite getting knocked out of Parliament, and we hadn't actually, there was no pathway forward. But we had to do something. We had to sort of get moving, we had to go campaigning again. Mike, you were pretty instrumental in this, in actually formulating the strategy around where we'll go, which bus we'll get on to visit which electorates, particularly coalition electorates. And it was actually a very powerful time because we actually got to see how the people were thinking. It was very straw poll in that sense. You know, we were on the ground, but we got the sense of Australia was very receptive to our messaging. They were, our campaign themes of fairness and equality were things that they responded well to. I think the No campaign really didn't understand where Middle Australia was. They lumped us in a lefty issue, and it wasn't a lefty issue, it wasn't a righty issue, it was a Middle Australia issue, and that was very, very clear travelling around the nation. I think it also gave us a very good understanding about how they misread men. I think, looking back on it, they thought that men would respond well to the negative attacks on the No campaign. But men don't go to barbecues on Saturday and talk about, you know, your kid's going to wear a dress. I mean, that's not Australian men. They talk about whether Wings is going to win race 6 at Randwick. So for our campaign, you know, we tapped into the values and we reminded them of the values wherever we travelled. And I think at the end of the tour around Australia, it was very, very clear. I had no fear that regional and rural Australia wasn't with us.
Awesome. And Angie, the sporting community played a key role in the campaign as well, but first we should also acknowledge that Angie Green is actually Sia. If you remember when Sia won an ARIA, Angie accepted it on our behalf. So Sia actually made the Angie. We're just not sure. Firstly, the sporting community, the role that they played and the voice that they had in this campaign, how proud were you to see people stand up?
Oh, I thought that it was incredible, and I think, you know, regardless of whether you love sport or not, the attention that players and clubs and what have you gain through traction, through social media and what have you, whatever they promote and support, people do listen who may not listen to other people. And it's really funny because the reason why I was lucky enough to be part of the Australian Marriage Equality campaign was because Clint, a few years ago, and also some other members of the campaign, read an article about the story about why I was passionate about equality, and the reason why it grabbed attention was because my brother played AFL and my dad is part of the Hawthorn Football Club Hall of Fame, and my pop played professional tennis, and that's what grabs people. Like, no, I'm a super duper average Australian, and that's why it grabbed attention, because sports people were involved. And I think we were so lucky that with the charity that I run, the ambassadors that we have on board, which is all about equality and inclusion, especially when it comes to non-hetero and gender diverse rights, especially within sport, I only allow ambassadors to come on board who are genuinely really passionate about it. So when we did activations, they were completely on board, and it did get a lot of traction because also, like, I don't think people are idiots. Like, people could really see that these people were really passionate about what they were speaking about and speak to a certain audience, again, that other certain strategies may not have been able to get to.
Cool. And the campaign through your team reached millions of people every week across all different mediums. Maybe I'll ask Georgia this question. What was the most random media request you remember coming through?
Oh my God, there were quite a few. I think we had a lot of people, I think what the whole media team experienced was on-the-minute requests for a lesbian couple in their 70s in Mildura and to deliver it in the next hour and a half, ready for 6 p.m. news. Well, I think we did a pretty okay job of it, especially in the last week or two leading up to the announcement. And I don't know if I should say this, but we had this list by the end of it of pretty much every cool, interesting gay and lesbian couple in Australia that was engaged, and I thought it was a bit of a dangerous list to have, but like, oh, I've got to touch base with them all now and see how their wedding prep is coming along.
And Mike, you had been involved in the campaign for a number of years. There were many ups and downs throughout. What do you remember as the most fun time and the most challenging time?
I thought, in terms, echoing Clint, one of the most times that gave me sort of most clarity was the town hall forums, where you actually got to go out there and you saw this really mattered to people, and it was a foundation of the community coming together, which sometimes you didn't see. You're back in the office, you don't see it as much, but when you go out there, go to the country town, you actually see everyone coming in and supporting each other. That was quite amazing. Downtimes? I don't know. It was all a bit of a roller coaster, wasn't it? You were there.
And one of the things that got us through that roller coaster, I think, was the messaging discipline. That was something that Clint, you really led. Take us through that, how you achieved that, and the impact you saw that having.
That was really hard. From the beginning, it was very clear that our polling data had shown that the majority of Australians were sick of this issue, to the point where 98% of Australians knew about the issue, they were aware of the issue, there was no sort of learning about the issue. They were kind of, it wasn't necessarily the top issue in their life. So for a 2-year campaign to become relevant, to become, to continue to be of interest, it was extremely challenging, particularly when we were very focused on discipline of message. And I think that was extremely tough at times, particularly when the no camp could just come randomly out like Donald Trump and say anything mad, and everyone had to just sort of suck it up. And we did, and we were very, very, very good, because we knew that we had to focus on the fact that this was a simple issue of fairness and equality. All our spokespeople, all our ambassadors from sporting teams to Magda to Ian, everyone joined in, and they knew we had a very straightforward message. I guess for us, one of the things we did do very well, and I think in comparison, I think the other side didn't do well, is our spokespeople. We didn't have 1 or 2 spokespeople like Lyle at the top of the tree. We had dozens and dozens of people leading the Everyday campaign. We had lots of different voices, from Alex to Anna to Tin to Janine to Shirlene from the campaign point of view. But then we had, Angie, and then we had Daniel Kowalski and Ian Thorpe. And then we had, Dawn, who runs this incredible group of LGBT supporters on the South Coast. One thing we learned really early on is that we had to actually give people the voice that they could recognise. And an example I always use for this was, pick a suburb, pick a town, I say Dubbo, I say Jenny, she's 58, lovely lady, goes to work every day. And nothing against Dubbo, I love Dubbo, nothing against Jenny. But she doesn't know many LGBTI people. But she does know Kathy, who she plays tennis with on Monday night, who has a lesbian daughter. Kathy's our voice. So it's actually just thinking a bit outside the box, and that was very much our campaign in terms of how we delivered our message. We actually found the right voices in the right towns and communities to echo.
And apart from Lane Sainty, who was the most difficult journalist to deal with? I'm joking, you don't have to answer that question. Okay. All right, can we give a big thank you to the comms team? That'll be amazing. And now please welcome Kurt, Helen and Leah from Storyland branded advertising team. Alright, so the campaign was fueled by thousands and thousands of stories that won over people's hearts and minds. And this was the work led by your amazing team. Kurt, how did you find all the stories, and how did you sort of work out how you would use them?
Well, actually, I'm going to throw to Helen for this, because she put together an amazing database of stories and really was a curator of most of our stories.
Thanks, Kurt. By the time we finished in November, we had over 12,000 stories on our database. It wasn't so much a case of us having to go out. Everybody wanted to be heard. People were coming to us. And we heard from people who were couples who wanted to get married. It was a lot of parents, people who'd never met anybody who was gay, but were still saying this is the right thing to do. So we had a lot of people coming to us. When we were casting for our TV ads, that was different. We were working with organisations across the LGBTQI community.
How did you know sort of how you would use the stories? How did you know how you would use the stories?
That depends on the platform, which depends on your audience. For us, we were looking for strong stories. Similar to what Clint was saying, we knew that we had to reach a wide audience, so we were looking for people that were easily identifiable, but also had strong stories so that people could understand why marriage equality was so important to us.
And there were a lot of TVCs produced in the campaign. Take us through the turnaround time and what went into to create a TVC.
The TVCs for the campaign. Yeah, there's quite a few, and I think really one of the hardest things to do was to turn around things quickly. And when the campaign really started, we wanted to react quickly to the no side. And so there were several times when we had less than 24 hours to pull together a TVC. So that was pretty insane. But I think taking a step back when the equality campaign first started, before the Postal website came about, we created our first TVC, which had a lot of people in this room painting a big marriage equality mural in Sydney. And so for me, that was one of the special times where really we started to brand ourselves as the equality campaign. It was just after the first website had gotten shut down by the Senate. We didn't know how we were going forward, and to be able to come together like that to create a TVC that sort of gave some hope and I think some direction to the community was really special and a really good moment for myself and I think for a lot of people on the campaign.
Sorry, we've got to share a mic now. What was everyone's favourite story? Same with you, Leah.
So many favourite stories. I think definitely just being a part of the launch TVC was one of my special moments. But I think being in the room when Lisa was making a phone call to her grandmother, that was really special.
This is the Ring Your Realize.
That's right, yeah. Being there and just being a part of that moment, and then knowing that that was so much a part of the content that we were trying to create, to really connect people together and bring those stories out.
Helen?
I think I'm going to repeat what Kurt said, was when we created the mural ad, we actually wanted to give the community a boost. We wanted to launch ourselves to show that we're here, we've got this, we're going to go for it. We also wanted to inspire people, and just like Leah was saying, on that day, if anybody was there when we filmed the mural ad, it was an incredible experience because we asked people across the community to come and help us do a crowd scene, and it was so inspiring because we could see that the community really were going to come together to make this work.
for me, I think I love that moment too, but it was really when people would be coming to us and allowing us to share their story, like Peter and Vaughn, who are sort of longtime activists who've been together for 50 years, and Vaughn was sadly dying of cancer, but he let Helen and myself come in and film a little documentary that was seen by over 3 million people. And so it was really, I felt very privileged to be able to tell those kinds of stories and to be able to share them with a wider community. And I really think it's people like Peter and Vaughn being willing to go in front of the camera and to share their stories and stories that people can connect with. It's the reason why we have Marriage Equality today.
And were there stories that were particularly sort of hard for you to deal with personally, people who would share their stories, and maybe take us through some of those conversations with people who had a heart-wrenching story that you had to take them through, and whether that was possible to share that story or not?
I mean, certainly there's lots of really heart-wrenching stories. One in particular was a woman named Kath who lives in the Central Coast. She lost her mother about 6 months before we filmed with her. And sadly, she and her longtime partner had a really difficult time maintaining contact in the hospital. And even though they had signed all the correct documents to give the power of attorney, things like that, the hospital really treated them poorly because they were a lesbian couple. And this was just several weeks really after her mom died that she was able to share the story with us. And it was heart-wrenching hearing her story and her having to go through that. But again, being willing to share that with us was incredible.
Sue Smith's story always struck a chord. Just being such a long-time campaigner and just out there for her son, I think that struck a chord with me because I probably didn't have that support. But knowing there's people out there really pushing was fabulous.
I will go to Helen for the next question. So, and on a lighter note, I shouldn't have started with that. When Tony Abbott was headbutted in Tasmania, the next day, the campaign released a video which was Tony Abbott's daughter, Frances Abbott. You were heavily involved with that. Take us through that experience, and were you surprised by the hugely positive response from that?
I wasn't surprised because she was so great. It was just so great that she stood up and was heard. It was great to meet with her. She was very similar to a lot of the other stories where you have a straight sibling or parents who just want the best for the people that they love, and that's just where she was coming from. She just wanted to go to her auntie's wedding. That's all it was, and I was so proud of her for putting herself out there and for doing that, and I think it was a huge plus for our campaign.
And thank you all for sharing all these powerful stories, these 12,000 stories that helped make sure Australia said yes. A big thank you to the Story Lab brand advertising. And now we go to Canberra with the Government Relations team, and joining us is Tom Snow, Joe Scales and Anna Brown. Alright, so let's start by explaining what sort of the type of work that you all did down in Parliament House. The lobbying, the work on legislation, etc.
The lobbying process was a whole series of pieces of work. Very early on, there was obviously a piece of work around trust, particularly building up bipartisan trust. And there was a piece of work about how we tell these people that this issue isn't going away. Now, that process around trust involved a huge amount of time with both sides of Parliament, with the Greens, making sure that they understood that we are people that they could talk to, we are people they could trust, but we were also people that had power behind us of the community, people that had a serious media team behind us, people that had a digital team, a field team, and that they knew that if they were going to stick their necks on the line and actually push this forward, that actually there were all sorts of teams of people there, ready to go, ready to back them up the whole way through. So there's this huge piece of actually building trust with great politicians, many of whom were in their first term of government. So many of whom were new to Parliament, actually needed the support of people like legislative teams and those sorts of things. The second bit was about showing we weren't going away. And 2017, the first two-thirds of 2017 were actually showing that this issue is not going off the agenda. So all those human stories, all those media stories, you know, so many pieces of work about we're not going to be in Parliament every single sitting week and showing these people it's not going away. There was one person who really did us a big favour with this, and that was, of course, Peter Dutton. We probably wouldn't have marriage equality without Peter Dutton, so we should be very clear about this. And there was one, there was one particular week I remember, like we'd been fighting and getting on the agenda quite successfully, but it was really clear that it wasn't reaching backbenchers who were just like, you know, it's easy for me to just toe the party line, particularly little backbenchers, to be clear. And when there was 1 week, Snowy Hydro was being announced, and we came out with the CEO letter, which was immaterial and probably would have gotten, you know, page 3 in the financial review at best. Peter Dutton attacked and attacked us all week. He knocked Snowy Hydro off the agenda, and marriage equality was front of the agenda. And what's really interesting between the Monday that week and the Thursday, it was really clear that Liberal backbenchers were sick of us. They hated us, they wanted us to go away, and they knew that the only way to get us to go away was to actually work with us. So that was a huge piece of work. Anne's going to talk about then the legislative process.
So I call this the boring but important side of things. Clearly we had to pass a bill to achieve marriage equality, so I won't go into detail except to say that it involved a lot of work, and a lot of work from people who aren't here today as well. Lee Carney, Miles Sider at the Human Rights Law Centre, and Corey Irwin, and our Government Relations Director Claire Dawson did an amazing job. And I was just so thrilled that we had such a professional team after spending years as an advocate, sort of trawling the floorboards in Canberra with 1 or 2 people. All of a sudden we had teams of people, and I remember looking at Tom's shoes in that week in December, and they were actually worn through, and it was, it was very fitting that at this point in time we had been actually treading the floorboards for so long that the shoes were going. And that, like Tom said, it was about trust, and we had parliamentary processes. We had a Senate inquiry into a bill that was produced by our former Attorney George Brandis, and that was a real game changer, and that's what enabled us to work with people like Dean Smith and others, and from the Labor Party and the Greens, to put forward that piece of legislation, fend off the amendments, do the legal analysis, equip our friends with the arguments that they could use in Parliament to make sure that we actually stared down those hostile amendments. And it was not an easy job, but I'm really proud of the work that the team did. But as I said, it is in a boring but important category, so I'm not going to go into details.
And Joe, take us through the atmosphere in Parliament House. What did it look like for people who couldn't be there? What was it like behind the scenes?
Oh, first of all, I take the opportunity to publicly thank Peter Dutton for his support. I will say, look, obviously this is, everyone knows, was the #1 issue in, obviously, our lives, but in sort of the media circuit at the time. However, for those who have been in Canberra and who have sort of experienced a sitting week, there are millions of issues which everyone whose issue it is thinks is the #1 issue. And while this was bigger, it still wasn't going to necessarily end the way we wanted it to if we didn't keep it at the top the whole time. So the feeling was tense, I think, but over the fortnight, so obviously the Senate first and then the House of Reps, we got a bit more relaxed, but I don't think we were relaxed until the 8th, the day after it passed. But I guess the strategy that we took on was that, look, the politicians decided to hand over this decision to us. They should have done it. They want us to decide. Well, now we're just not going to get out of their way until it's done properly. So we tried to do everything we could to just make it a suffocating feeling in Parliament. We went everywhere, we were handing out badges, and for those like all of us here who listen to every minute of both chambers on 2 TVs for the fortnight, the amount of times that the President in the Upper House or the Speaker in the Lower House said, sorry, member for wherever, take the badge off, you're not allowed to wear that, or sorry, you're not allowed to wear this t-shirt in that chamber, and if you walk through the halls of Parliament, all the suites had up on their windows, which are public facing, my constituency voted yes, or what have you. So there was obviously a technical strategy going on, but we also tried to create a sense that you cannot escape this until this is done, in a very nice, friendly way.
And you all have worked extremely intensely in that period of time, before and after the 15th of November, when Australia said yes. And in the lead up, anything could have gone wrong, many things at different times did, there's stuff that happened that people will never know about. But when we got to that final moment on the 7th, when there was that vote, how did you all feel?
It was deeply emotional for me. And Australia said yes on the 15th. It said yes overwhelmingly. We should not have had to have fought and fought from the 15th of November to the 7th of December. And we had to. In fact, we had to up to the very last moment, like in both the Senate and in the House of Representatives. The Conservatives threw everything at us. They threw every hostile amendment they could to kill this bill, to make the bill terrible. Like they were awful. And you know, it was in those chambers, and particularly the House of Representatives on that final day, it was electric, that feel when everyone was in the room and everyone was cheering and you know, it was just full on. I was sitting next to my husband on one side and my mother on the other side, and literally I cried the second I saw that last division. It was just phenomenal to see MPs all crossing to one side other than 4 bags and a few people scurried off around Parliament House. See the standing room only, MPs sitting on other people's knees to just sit on that side of Parliament, and we should all, and all Australia should be so proud at that moment because it really demonstrated the importance of this reform and it cannot be undone.
And you were in the government advisor's box for that final vote. What was that like?
Well, we were still obviously working really hard, and I still remember the premature celebration when at the second real stage, people thought the bill had passed. It actually hadn't passed, and poor Wayne Sainty, I think, and maybe Paul Cart might have accidentally tweeted that it had passed. So then everyone broke into song, and there was cheering, and we were busy going, no, not yet. and so we had to, you know, go through that, and then when it actually did pass, with, you know, I think, you know, the clerk just announcing this very Australian, you know, informal, unofficious way that the bill passed through the chamber. It was just, you know, like Tom said, electric, and I was lucky because I had my phone. Everyone else in the gallery didn't have that phone, so I actually had to choose, do I tweet or do I enjoy this moment? And I'm sorry, Twitter actually chose Twitter. And I cried and I hugged, and there was all the advisors from the Attorney General's office and the Prime Minister's office, and these are the other unsung heroes of this campaign, are all the staffers across Parliament that did so much work, that worked with us, as well as the MPs that stood up and put those arguments for why the legislation should pass. So it was a really beautiful moment. Lots of joy, but lots of hugging and emotion as well. And then we had to do a press conference, so we should
And Joe, you've been involved with this from the, you know, before the ALP conference, finally, floor of Parliament, how did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, on the ALP itself, I was very proud to see the change that that party made over a long time, and that was a lot of activists within that party shifting them. So that was, for me, a proud moment as a Labor Party activist. But also, at that time, I was in shock. On the 15th, I was relieved. On the 7th, I was in shock. And, you know, here, you know, behind the veil, the spontaneous drinks functions and things aren't spontaneous, so they sort of had to happen to get through all that. And then I woke up the next morning and I think I cried for about 2.5 hours, and then got, I'm going to get on the plane and go back to Adelaide. So I once it took me that, I don't know, a good 15 hours before I realised this is done, and it's done forever now.
A huge round of applause to our government relations team. And now we're going to go to our field team and hand over to Anna Brown.
Hey. Okay, here we have three of our incredible field team. We have Katie Batchelor, Audrey Marsh, and Alex West. Welcome. So, our team let's go back and recount some stats. Did you bring together over 15,000 volunteers across all political parties and lots of different demographics and community groups? How quickly, Katie, did it take to put that sort of team presence together, and how did people get involved?
Yeah, so that was a pretty crazy period of my life. I think I came on board less than a month before the first surveys actually went out to people, and there was a casual conversation early on saying, we need to run a national field campaign. We want to speak to about 500,000 people, and you've got 2 weeks to do that. So that was a little bit full on initially. Thankfully, I had the help of Georgia Cruz, who unfortunately can't make it tonight, but that was a real lifeline early on. But I think within a week and a half, we had 50 full-time organisers around the country. We had budget for about 6 full-time organisers, or one person per state, and the reason that we were able to get to such a large team so quickly was just in no way short of the trade union movement, who really came to the table and didn't ask for anything in return. They knew how time sensitive everything was, and they just stepped up and offered seconded organisers and really talented, good organisers who had lots of experience. And we would not have made over 1 million phone calls, we would not have made, knocked on over 100,000 doors in a single weekend if it wasn't for the help of the labour movement. And I think that that's something that I can't state how important that was.
Audrey, how important were young people in this campaign?
So there were, I think young people, it's trendy maybe to think that young people aren't politically engaged, that they're just on Twitter, ironically, but also that they're not out doing things. I think young people really came to the table for marriage equality, unlike anything I've seen before. Clearly, young people voted really well for this issue. They turned out in a way that I don't think anyone predicted. It really helped carry us over the line. Young people also were the absolute backbone of what we did in field. So often, we would have a room full of really passionate people in their late teens who had grown up with marriage equality as an issue, so they were so aware of what the impact was. We had a queer collective from a high school come. It was unbelievable the way young people turned out. They had such good understanding of this issue. Probably none of them were about to get married, but they knew how important this was, and they really turned up.
So Alex, you ran the field operation in Tassie. Maybe using Tasmania as an example, what were the different elements of the field campaign, and how many people did you reach?
Well, we had a bit of a shorter time to get the Tassie field operation together, but it to me demonstrated the power of small communities talking to each other. So from the first day we had 0 volunteers, and within the first week we had over 100 people talking to people on the phones, out on the streets, and signed up on the website. It was an issue that united Tasmanians like never before.
And lastly, can you all share your favourite moment of the campaign?
I'm going to cheat. I have 2 favourite moments, and they all happened in the northwest coast of Tasmania. And so any other Tasmanians in the group might know that people might think that might be one of the most homophobic places in Australia. I grew up in Tasmania in the 90s in the middle of the decriminalisation debate of homosexuality, and we had people on the phones and knocking on doors that had been against decriminalising homosexuality. It was a turning point for the northwest coast, people being able to give love back to the community.
So So I think my favourite moment was at a phone banking night when things were really, really heating up. People were receiving their ballots, and the calls we were making were the people who had a ballot in their home and were casting guest votes. So the energy in the room was so high at that time. And I remember there was a night that we put on our little Pride playlist, and we were in our little office space, and we were just kind of hanging out waiting for people to turn up. And it was just people came through in the dozens and dozens and dozens. We couldn't contain how many phone bankers we had in the one space. They were like in the fire escape stairs, they were out in the hallway, in like the lobby, they were everywhere. And we had all kinds of people. We had mothers of gay sons, we had an older lesbian couple who had been together for 50 years coming to make calls. We had people who were 13 and 14 coming to like be involved and come along and see what was happening. It was just such a spectrum of people, and it just that was such a high for field at that time, and to have such a strong turnout was just unbelievable.
Yeah, I think my one was pretty obvious. It was being able to sit in the galleries with all of our co-workers and colleagues and just witness the bill passing. That was just a really special moment that I think everyone who was there will have forever. There were some other pretty good moments that happened later on that night at Cube nightclub. Probably not an appropriate conversation to have in front of a Twitter audience. So obviously,
thanks everybody for their hands for our Okay, next we have Inside HQ, Ashley and Tim. Alex, you're not doing the shepherding that I was doing for you. Thank you very much. While we're taking the stage, I have to remind people that I will remain deeply bitter for the rest of my life that James Patterson made me read and try and understand his piece of legislation that he put into the public domain last year. That bill, I think I amongst maybe 5 people have actually read and tried to understand what James Patterson was doing with that piece of legislation, and it's my piece of bitterness that I will cling on to for the rest of my life. Okay, now we have Inside HQ. We have our noble leader, our campaign director, Tim Gartrell, and Ashley Hogan. Yeah, everyone give them a cheer. So let's talk about HQ. In particular, let's talk about the volume of correspondence that you had the joy of dealing with, Ashley. How much correspondence actually came in?
Well, I had the responsibility of running the inquiry unit, and we had around 30,000 voter contacts between August and the middle of November. Probably about 15,000 emails, almost as many Facebook messages, and a couple of hundred Twitter DMs. And of those, we had a policy that we didn't answer 12 or unquote, but we responded to about 15,000 of those messages.
That's astounding and outstanding. How did you do it?
Well, I did it because I had a team of fantastic volunteers. There were about 60 people who gave up their time. Some people arranged with their work to work 4 days a week and came in, or they worked regularly, so they were coming during the week. We had people who came in on the weekend, on their days off. We had people who went home from work and logged on remotely and dealt with correspondence in the evening after they, fed their kids and put them to bed. So really, it was the volunteers. It was Team Coro and Facebook Champs who smashed it.
I thought I had the boring but important bit, but you really did as well. We shared that burden. Ashley, some of the people in this room will know that your alter ego is the clearance unicorn. But not everyone does, and particularly people watching online. Can you explain the genesis of this phrase?
Well, I had an email that came in one day and it said, I'm voting no because I don't believe in homosexuals. And that was it. So I read it aloud and I said, so I suppose I must be a unicorn or something. And Amber, one of our volunteers, said, yes, you are. You are the magical rainbow clearance unicorn that knows all the answers to all the questions and can solve all our problems. And from there it just kind of snowballed and took a life on its own. So Leah did a wonderful little graphic, and then Lee from digital turned it into a GIF, and just
took off.
It's in the Hansard now. Australian Parliament has declared that I am the clearance unicorn, so
I have to ask, Ashley, are you getting a tattoo of a rainbow unicorn?
I am indeed getting a tattoo.
But do people understand what clearance means? Can you just quickly explain that quite important process?
Well, clearance in a campaign is basically final quality control. So it's everything that goes out from the campaign has to go through clearance, and I have to make sure that it's on brand, on message, on strategy, has no typos. You know, it is in the correct font, that everybody who has seen it, who needs to approve of it, just, I have to make sure that it is okay to be released into the wild. So I cleared upwards of 4,000 different items over the course of the campaign, and there were, I am embarrassed to admit, 5 mistakes.
James! I think we'll all agree that's a pretty amazing effort. Well done, Ashley. Big clap, Ashley. Tim, now you've run a few campaigns. We have 2 more groups to go after this, in case anyone was wondering. And do feel free to grab drinks as we go, but there's we've got 2 more groups to go after. Tim, you've run a few campaigns in your time. How does this compare? And you know, what were the lessons learned for you?
Yeah, the campaigns I've been involved in, parliamentary ones largely, where you've got a set date for the election, it rolls along, you win or you lose. This one, there was no certainty, so people now look back and go, oh, that all went well and positively, but there wasn't any certainty, and there wasn't any certainty for a decade. And I was brought, I have to declare, I was brought in right towards the end of the Postal survey. There are people in this room who have been doing this for a decade with no certainty that we would ever get to this. And in fact, if you said to them 10 years ago, it's going to end up in a postal survey, they would have probably thought you were stark raving mad. So stacks of uncertainty in this. But the other thing that's different to a lot of political campaigns is there were so many volunteers who had never done this before. That was one of the wonderful things about this. People who had, you know, not been involved in party politics, but they were either LGBTQI people themselves and their partners or their family. There was a lot of family. There was a lot of really great family members who met him and volunteered. So that was really good. And the field guys did a wonderful job of harnessing them, because that's, you know, 15,000 people pretty much coming out of nowhere organisationally, structurally, because Saxon would have been supportive. You know, you look at the AME guys, and looking at Malcolm and Janine and others, you know, they've been going at it for years. They're a relatively small group. And then suddenly 15,000 people are turning up. So that was a fantastic part of this campaign. And I hope it sets a bit of a standard for other non-party political campaigns, and says something about civic involvement in our country, which is really overdue.
Thanks, but hopefully we don't have to have another postal survey.
No, let's not have people's rights being decided by postal surveys. No, really bad idea.
Thanks so much. Big hand for Tim. Next we have our stakeholder relations team and our incredible executive director, Tim Brady, our secret weapon from Ireland.
Where are we going?
We've got Frances Boone, who is our Multicultural Communities and Faith Outreach Coordinator. We've got Chris Pycroft, who's our Stakeholder Director, and Tiernan Brady. Frances, let's kick off with you. How did the campaign work with faith communities to grow their support?
First, I'd like to acknowledge that we meet on Gadigal land and acknowledge the elders of the community who are here, past, present and emerging, and also to any LGBTI people of colour and any LGBTI people of faith. You know, we have wonderful, amazing people here right now and around the country who we cannot name, but people like Neha Murdoch, people like Shannon Dawson, people like Reverend Dr. Margaret Neiman who are here today. So thank you very much for everything that you've done for us. People of faith, I think one of the interesting things was that this was never an issue about gay versus God, and we knew that. But I think it was really interesting that there were communities who couldn't even say that they had LGBTI people in their midst. And after this campaign, I think that's one of the most amazing things about this, is that people have come out of the woodwork. We have a recognition very visibly now that there are LGBTI people who go to your church, who go to your mosque, who go to your synagogue or temple, and that we have allies amongst these communities of faith. People, like I just mentioned, come from ethno-religious backgrounds. And so it's just amazing to, we didn't give people permission, but we allowed people to say that as a person of faith, I support marriage equality because of my faith and values.
And all of that work you do, Francis, is so incredibly important as we work on this religious freedoms review right now. All those people of faith are speaking out and making their voices heard. So thank you so much for all the work you do, Francis. Now, Chris, the campaign was a pretty tough time for our community. What did you do? What did the campaign do to make sure that we were looking after ourselves and to really protect the health and well-being of LGBTI people?
Well, this particular issue, I mean, it's something that's so incredibly personal to all of us, and we had spent more than a year arguing against a postal, a public vote of any kind. We said, this is the human rights of any kind of minority group should not be subjected to a national public vote. This is something that can be done by a free vote in Parliament. And so then when a postal survey kind of originated and it very quickly, proceeded to happening. For us, I think as, LGBTI people, having our personal lives put up for debate was something that was an incredibly difficult process, but this was something that we knew that we had to win. We needed to win it for ourselves, we needed to win it for our friends, we needed to win it for our family and our colleagues. And, the moment that the postal survey was announced, it was pretty much game on. We knew that we needed to win this for our own human rights. But, having our personal lives put up for public debate each and every single day is something that is not an easy experience for anyone to endure. And I hope that no one in Australia ever has to experience something like that again. But it was also, it had the potential to unite us as well. We knew that this was going to be, the postal survey was going to be a tough period, and we reached out to both the mental health and suicide prevention organisations around the country, and we said, we know that this is going to be a tough time for people within our community. Can you support us? And they said yes in resounding numbers. And we were very lucky that I think we had 4 state governments that also specifically gave funding for organisations to go, LGBTI people are going to experience tough times right now, let's support them. And organisations in resounding numbers just went, let's make this a positive debate, let's make this a uniting moment for Australia, let's support each other. We can see the impact that discrimination has on mental health and well-being. Let's get rid of this once and for all and tell LGBTI people in Australia, we love you, we support you, and we stand by you no matter what.
I think Tiernan's probably now officially the most well-travelled Irishman in Australia. I think there's not a town that Tiernan did not visit in the campaign. But also there's a lot of work behind the scenes, working with LGBTI communities, talking to everyday Australians about why this issue mattered to them. What do you think we can learn from the campaign and help keeping Australia to be that fairer and more equal place?
Actually, it's a really great question. That sounds like a really political beginning to an answer, and it's not meant to be. I would say 2 things. In a campaign that's incredibly complex, and we should never underestimate this was complex. This is a continent. This is bigger than Europe, and we have to place a public vote on this. But the 2 things I would say was, 1, how do you empower people to tell their own stories? How do you get them to see that actually they're the most powerful human being in the space they live in, and that there's nothing the campaign or any campaign can do anywhere that will be more important than when they tell their story to their family, to their friends, to their work colleagues. That nothing is more impactful, and a lot of people don't see that. They don't see their power. And I think one of the most important things we did with this campaign, and anybody should do with any other campaign moving forward from this, is to allow people to see in your space there is no greater ambassador for you than you. And when you tell your story, there's nothing a national campaign can do that will be more effective. And the one joy I did have with this campaign, or the many joy I did have, the one joy I really am so proud of, was this amazing story lab that we created to allow people to see their stories, to churn out all of those stories so people could see how powerful they were. And Kirk and Helen and Leah and Michelle, for 2 years, changed Australian LGBTI people's attitudes to themselves. And whatever happens on after this is over, they should never lose sight of that. They changed how people thought about their own stories, and they gave people power, and that changed everything. And the second thing, and I think that's really important for what any campaign should do afterwards, as we look at Mr. Trump and as we look at so many other campaigns, Brexit around the world, you can rip a country apart, and you can rip a society apart, and you can still win if you want. But it's not a good win. This campaign committed itself from day one to a campaign that would not take the bait, a campaign that would not go negative, a campaign that understood we all have to live in the same country the next day. So we all have to live together, so how you campaign matters every bit as much as what you campaign for. And we're 40 years from the 78ers. And the 78ers are heroes because they resisted. They resisted an authority that smashed them down. And I think in 40 years' time, we're going to look back on this campaign and look at tens of thousands of LGBTI people and their parents and their brothers and sisters and friends who resisted the provocation, who resisted being told you should go negative, in the face of the most unfair process, in the face of what was one of the nastiest, most negative, vitriolic campaigns that any group of people ever had to face in Australia. And they did it with dignity. That was their resistance. I think that's the lesson of doing with dignity, empowering people to see their story. And I think because LGBTI people have done that now, they are the new generation of 78ers.
Well said, Tim. A big hand again to our fabulous stakeholder team and to Tim and Brady. Thanks, everyone. Okay, last but certainly by no means least, especially because we are in the headquarters of Twitter, our digital team, led by Adam Noble. I think it's fair to say that during the campaign, our digital team broke records. You might have broken the internet a couple of times. Yeah. And they did this by telling those incredibly positive and compelling stories that you were hearing about earlier, the stories that the Story Lab were putting together, and sharing and creating emotional connections to the campaign through a whole bunch of different channels that you can talk about much better than I can. Adam, earlier in the process, people were worried about the turnout amongst young people. But in the end, the result was, as we were hearing from Audrey, bloody fantastic, even if we say so ourselves. But how did digital help achieve that result?
I think the official answer is dank memes and teaching young people what a postbox was, which, as Audrey dispelled, is quite ridiculous because young people knew how to get involved in this campaign. I think very early on, what we started doing was we started building our supporter and activist base. So from about 2016, we started to supercharge how we were bringing supporters into the campaign. We changed our message, we reached out to new audiences. So we grew our signed-up supporters by 431%. We tripled our social media following, and we started engaging with all these activists to take action so that the second the postal survey hit, we got out really quickly in an Enroll to Vote campaign. So the result of the Enroll to Vote campaign during the postal survey is that almost 1 million people enrolled or updated their address. We had the wonderful Ryan, partner of Ian Thorpe, prove that he could swim the length of a pool and back in the same time it would take Ian to update his address. And we kind of started like getting people to get engaged. The digital team is relatively small for a digital team, and we're just 4 of the people. There are lots of people who couldn't be here tonight, unfortunately. But one of the big things that we did was we started building websites very quickly. So we built 4 separate websites throughout the 4-month postal survey period, including the amazing decentralized organising tool that we built in partnership with GetUp that allowed people to make 1 million phone calls for yes. We also built a voteyes.org.au information site that over 1.45 million people went to. And so all of that kind of stuff contributed to the turnout. I think one of the big things that I want to mention that we did that a lot of people wouldn't have seen, or would have seen but may not have known why they were seeing it, is we actually ran a massive online advertising campaign. So we were being outspent by the No campaign 5-1. We knew that like digital advertising was a key way that we could get across to people. So we ran 33 million ads at 4.6 million likely yes voters, meaning that likely yes voters got in a 3-week window 7 reminders to post their yes, which is hugely important in terms of turnout, and we definitely skewed that to young people.
Don, Adam's talked about how we had to quickly expand the campaign to help reach those millions of Australians. How did the online community chip in to help us get to yes? And you were involved in that fundraising side of things. When did we see the spikes and falls in fundraising? And did it sort of align with particular moments in the campaign, or was it positive responses to what we were doing, or was it negative responses to what the no side was doing? Talk us through it.
I think online fundraising fits into your rubric of boring but important, so I'll be as brief as I can. We have sort of had to figure with
It's your moment to shine.
It'll be brief. We had to fit within the overall campaign strategy, which, as Keenan very articulately talked about, had to be very positive and ensure that we weren't giving more airtime to some of the really horrible things that the No campaign was saying. So anyone who's been involved in political fundraising before knows that anger can be one of the really strongest motivators to get people to donate money online, but that's not something that we could do as the sort of campaign we were. So we followed our general positive strategy and made sure that we were using hero pieces of content such as the Bachelor ad and really bringing people in to the strategy that we were sort of getting to get people to vote online. And it worked extremely well, really. We got $1.2 million across 4 months and 11,000 separate donors, and I think that was really a fantastic achievement by the whole team.
Finally, Shannon and Nina, you were part of the social media team. It's very fitting, our last question. And it was obviously an incredibly powerful way of connecting with people and sharing all these amazing stories with Australia. Are there any particular achievements that you individually are proud of?
Yeah, so it's really interesting, you go into the social media team and the brief that you have is, okay, we need to get young people to learn how to use a post box and to post their yes. Nice and easy. But what we did find was the Post Your Yes hashtag was actually a great way to build community and to create a collective effort and a collective sense around actually going out there and posting your yes. So, the first couple of days we were really pushing the hashtags and we found that it was actually just taking off. And completely unsurprisingly, but the grassroots community content that came out of that hashtag was actually the stuff that did the best. So people contributing their own stories of, me and my grandma going to post our yes. I'm voting yes, me and my partner. Here's this little iPhone picture that we've taken. That actually was what did the best. And the other thing that we also did was, particularly with Twitter, we used Twitter to reach out to influencers for young people. So people like Natalie Tran, who is a huge YouTube sensation. I sent her a little direct message. I was like, hey, can you put something together for us, help us out. Within 2 or 3 hours, she came back with this perfect video that she had for under the 30s. And it, again, just took off. So, social media.
And you actually were relaying quite an interesting story to me earlier about
a particular celebrity.
Yes, that's right. How did I forget this? So there was this one other thing that we found really worked was amplifying other people's content. And there was this one tweet that someone put up that I absolutely loved, and I was like, guys, we have to push this out. And it was a tweet that was an analogy regarding Ricky Lee and Australian Idol, I think 2004. Back when I was 14 years old and absolutely obsessed with Australian Idol. So I was like, yes, this is content. And it was saying, you know, Ricky Lee lost because no one voted for her. And again, with this, everyone thinks that we're going to win because everyone thinks that yes is going to win. But unless you post your yes, you're not actually going to get there. So we pushed it out, we created content around it, it definitely went viral. Next thing you know, Ricky Lee has created a Pride playlist. A couple of weeks later, she's headlining one of our shows.
Great work. And what about a couple of moments from you, or a favourite one?
I think that, you know, it was really great working on the social media team because, like Nana was saying, you know, there was a lot of really grassroots content that came through. So, you know, we did get a lot of people who, you know, we would get inundated with messages, you know, all day, every day, of people just wanting to, like, tell their story or be able to help in some way. And I found that really encouraging just to see people wanting to do their bit. One of our, like, most popular tweets was actually, like, a 65-year-old dad, you know, sort of your typical Aussie bloke that drinks BB and, you know, he drove trucks, I think, and that was like a really popular tweet because he just created the video like off his own back. He just really wanted to, you know, tell people to get involved in Post Say Yes, and I think, you know, people really sort of look at that sort of unexpected advocate, and we've had just a lot of people who really wanted to just get involved and do their bit. So that was a really great one to see, and I think, you know, it was just seeing the conversations that were happening on social media and for people to be able to tell their stories. And, you know, we had amazing videos from the video team that, you know, just went gangbusters. Like, hey, you know, people, it was just really finding Australians who were in love and wanted to get married, like, what's wrong with that, you know? So, yeah, I think that just seeing, you know, and we really did get sent so many personal stories of people just wanting to share their, you know, reason why this was so important to them. So I think that was probably my favourite. It was just going through all the sort of personal stories that people were sharing, and yeah, I think it was just a very heartwarming campaign for me to work on.
Right. Well, I think we can all agree that these guys did an amazing job. We have one last moment this evening. We have Cara from Twitter with a special announcement.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to hand it over to
because holy cow, you guys are so amazing. But quickly, so they've been setting records, you know, across a decade, Alex? Yes? 10 years?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, there you go. So anyways, they actually set a lot of records on Twitter, and thank you, digital team. You guys are all legends, I have to admit. But last year in 2017, they had the most, the golden tweets, so that's the most retweets in Australia. So that tweet was on November 15th when ABS announced their actual results. They actually broke it. They broke the internet. Yes, no, you're absolutely right. And they actually did that by over another 1,000 retweets. So this is the new golden tweet set by AME, Australian Marriage Equality, and this is a record for Twitter, so we'd like to congratulate them. It was over 20,000. It was actually 20,153,000 retweets, and also this trended globally for over 23 hours. Wow. So
I was just going to say that this team punches above their weight. They have broken everything that we could ever imagine here at Twitter, including some of our furniture at times. Some of the best parties, and so I want to let you guys party, drink, eat. We still have tons of food. Thank you for coming, and happy Mardi Gras!